Just bear with me. Yep. Sharing, trying to share, clicking. There we go. Can you see that?
Looks good, Paddy.
Perfect.
Lovely. Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the partner webinar featuring Azure and obviously the other workloads, but we won't talk about them right now because they've got their chance. It's all about Azure, and I'm here today to talk to you about some of the priorities and what we're looking at for FY21, and maybe some of the tools and resources that are there to help. So I've got roughly 10 minutes, you're saying, Anusha? Yep. Cool, I'll go with that. So you can see this is the Azure Triangle, which is our priorities triangle, and it's really broken down, as you might have seen before, on migrate, innovate, and enable. Enablement's really around the foundation of our getting customers onto the platform, training and enablement in terms of getting certified and playing around and going deep on certain workloads, but also focusing on making sure that our customers and our partners understand how to leverage the cloud adoption framework as a baseline to make sure they're adopting a consistent methodology to get to cloud. And then, of course, engaging with developers through our Azure DevOps on GitHub, which is where we'll be driving that going forward. And we have a developer PNM called Sadir Rawat. He's awesome. He's really keen to talk to developers, engage with the communities. So that's a lot of the stuff he does, and really helping upskill the market in that area. If we sort of look at that migrate and innovate in a sort of slightly more detailed concept, you can see I've kind of put a little bit of color into the slide by sort of giving some priorities in terms of where we're focusing. It's obviously around acquiring new customers, nurturing the recently acquired one, and growing the established. And we feel that if we focus on sort of areas of our core baseline workload of migrating Windows and SQL Server to Azure continues with the benefits of Azure Hybrid Benefit and the end of support offerings where we bring exclusively to Azure, which will give the latest and greatest in those licensing capabilities on cloud with Windows and SQL, and then tapping on to Linux as well. And we're generally finding that with the likes of Windows virtual desktops, they're often running licensing on-prem. Again, a lot of those are sitting in 03 and 08 licenses. Bring those over to Azure, and you'll get the end of support and the benefit of only paying for compute rather than your licensing as well, which you'd have to do on other platforms. So it removes that blocker. Our on the second box there on modernizing applications, in this market we see a huge opportunity with modernizing .NET apps and tapping on SQL database services onto that as well. So a double whammy in terms of consuming the platform, but also providing a great service to help customers modernize. I think you'd all agree that we've seen examples of customers who are running, organizations who are running their applications on-prem who have either been under DDoS and security attacks, won't mention one recently, or have found that their websites are not handling the scale and demand for example, e-commerce or the like, and so they're not. So we're going into a digital age where a lot of us are having to be at home and doing everything via online, and so making sure that those applications are modernized and using the scalability of cloud will help remove a lot of those blockers, but also provide the security that they need to block the likes of something as simple as a DDoS attack. Also, of course, taking something like building net new applications, because not all apps will move. How do we help customers solve that opportunity to build net new applications, or maybe containerizing an app and putting that into Azure and then adding on the power of Azure with the data and AI and analytics services that will provide greater insight to the customer to help them with their business, engaging with customers or improve their operations, etc. Finally, the probably other areas where I'm really focusing on is around the Azure VMware solutions. This is about to go live in the Australian region very soon. It is exactly what you'd have on-prem now with Azure VMware Bare Metal, but it's sitting with VMware sitting on-prem with bare metal hardware, and we put that into Azure as a solution. We've literally bought VMware hardware, built it as a Azure solution, and you can manage that using your VMware Cloud Client as well as the Azure portal and run that like for like. The benefit of that is you can then modernize what's running on the VMware, and again connecting that to the analytics and data and AI capabilities that will help you provide greater insights. This market is ripe for VMware migration to Azure with that solution, and VMware are working with us closely, not just on infrastructure, but also on the Windows Virtual Desktop on VMware Cloud Solution, Cloud Solutions anyway, for VDI. So that's probably the other ones. And then finally, Sentinel for us in terms of security, given a lot of customers have gone to a digital age, they've probably ramped up quickly and haven't thought about what they might see as potential threats going forward. There's no questions at the moment I'm taking, unless you can see something, Anusha, because I can't see the questions.
Paddy, just a comment from Emmanuel. Just said he was surprised to see cloud adoption framework and well architected as priority 3s.
Oh, right. Well, so these are not. Don't take this as these aren't priority in terms of. Let me start again. These aren't. This priority 1, 2, 3 does not mean I don't care about cloud adoption framework. I guess I see from a building the market opportunity as the priority 1. But you'll see I haven't highlighted IoT and mixed reality, so I'm not focusing on those areas at all. What I'm focusing on are those 3 highlighted colours. So that hopefully that answers that question. So yes, don't get me wrong, cloud adoption framework, as you see here, is very important. It's the baseline to all how we get customers to cloud. It's helping them understand, defining the strategy, running an assessment, building out a business case and a migration plan, building a landing zone that they can use ongoing for other workloads in future, and also skilling up the customer at the same time to get there. And then around all of that is the governance and management of the platform ongoing. And obviously, we don't see necessarily a linear or simple example of getting customers to cloud necessarily. I think there probably needs to be some snakes and ladders in this as well, because you can go forwards and backs quite quickly at the same time, but it certainly doesn't happen one after the other like this, even though it's a squiggly worm. But in essence, this is again the same basis behind our cloud adoption framework as a baseline, building the strategy, landing the partner support, you can see there, bringing in the TCO business case, build the plan, having Azure Fast Track help you with the landing zones and the migration, and making sure the customer is secure and compliant going forward. So this is basically taken from, I shouldn't say thousands of engagements of Fast Track for Azure and how we operate going forward as best practice. And that team is there to help you as partners as you work with your customer on that journey. So that the criteria of entry for that is very, very low. And as long as you've got a customer that's committed and willing to go, then the Fast Track team are basically ready and waiting. Couple of things you might want to think about is in terms of opportunities in the market. So what we see in the market at the moment around .NET apps and SQL is if we bundle the two together, we're seeing a much higher ACR generation for you as partners in terms of incentives if you're running CSP or other PAL incentives, but also you're solving a problem for a customer and helping them modernize at the same time by connecting SQL and AI solutions to that. Similar kind of concept with building cloud native solutions and tapping that onto data and AI. I think I've got a couple of minutes. So then finally, quick summary. If you're a co-sell prioritized partner, and if you're not, you want to be, you can get onto the Azure Starter offer, which is our program to help as a gate of entry to all our other programs that we have available. Because if once you're co-sell prioritized, you get access to the fact we can provide you assessment tools and funding for a pilot. And then as you get more skills, you can get advanced specialized in certain workloads and get access to the likes of the Azure migration program to help fund that and get more support. But if you're not advanced specialized, it's okay. You can use Fast Track plus the ESIF funding as well. The ESIF is our end customer investment funds. just to explain that acronym. And you can see we've kind of got a step-by-step process in terms of how we move that along. Any questions on that? Because I know I'm almost at time.
All good, Paddy. Nothing on the chat, so we can maybe wait till Q&A if anyone has anything else.
Cool.
Fantastic.
Thanks all. Appreciate your time. Bit of a blitz, but hopefully insightful for you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
all
Paddy.
right. I think next up we have Robert, whose slides are on the main master. So Robert, whenever you want to take control of Ken's slides.
Sure. Can you hear me? Hi, everyone.
Yes, loud and clear.
Perfect. So let me take over these slides. And let's move to this one. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Robert Varanek, same as Paddy, business group lead, this time for modern work and security in Microsoft New Zealand. Having just 10 minutes, it will be brief guide through our priorities this fiscal year, I would say main activities and programs that you can leverage. So let's start with priorities on the left top corner. You can see these for modern work and security. Overall, all of these are actually aligned to what is happening currently on the market, and clearly there is a strong impact of pandemic situation. So first priority is to help our customers to secure their remote work. What does that mean? Well, in reality, lots of customers moved recently to remote work culture. That's clear. For example, using Teams, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they sorted out all needed. So it's really about going back and checking with them if they have right governance in place, if they have security in place, helping them with the adoption, helping them to identify next use cases and next use scenarios. That's the first one. Second priority is connected with the need of customer to save money, actually. So cut unnecessary cost or consolidate vendor solution, for example, within security area. So here, our strategy is to be sure that customers are actually using what they own in terms of Microsoft technology. So they can really get maximum out of it and they see the value. And basically, this one is closely connected to security a lot. And as I already mentioned, possible also consolidation of the vendor solutions that are lots of them. And many times customers are actually owning Microsoft solutions and not using it, and instead of using other solutions and not getting value out of it. So there's a second one. Third priority, it's connected to innovation and transformation. So helping our customers to innovate business processes. Here, mainly it's about Teams. Teams as a platform with integrated applications, basically using Teams as a single pane of glass for driving the business. In terms of sales plays, if I simplify it, basically across all these priorities, it's about either team solutions, especially meetings, callings, and Teams as a platform, or end-to-end security and compliance story delivered by Microsoft 365 or Azure. So these are the priorities. What about the main activities that we are driving and we will drive at the market? That's the right top part. Basically, first, our focus in on upskilling customers and clearly partners as well where needed. So for example, last 2 weeks, we run deep dive certification trainings covering our end-to-end security story for free and with exam vouchers available. And this is something we will continue and where we want to invest a lot energy and money this year. So that's first one, training. Second, it's about multiple types of workshops. So basically helping our customers either to build the roadmaps, how to deploy what they own, or helping them to identify next scenarios and prepare the roadmap how to get there, helping them to, I see some comments.
It's okay, Rob, we can see your content. Guys, if you can't see the content, click on Robert's video stream. That'll pull him into the main window and then click back on the PowerPoint share and you'll get it.
Cool. Thank you, Paul. Okay, so basically, second bucket of activities, as I said, important engine here are the workshops. We call them cloud accelerator workshops, and basically here it's either about to drive the demand generation or intent in the customer side to use our solutions and services. I will talk about this more at the last slide, so let's keep it there. And last area of activities, it's about engaging more with leaders of New Zealand companies at CXO level. So, for instance, last year we successfully started something we called CISO Council. Basically, it is a forum where top CISOs from New Zealand organizations are meeting, discussing their needs, their strategies, and typically where we always brought in some interesting cybersecurity expert, ideally worldwide known, bringing some external interesting perspective on the table and trigger discussions around it. So definitely you want to continue with that and extending it not just to CISO's level, but also to other roles like HR directors and finance directors. And I think we lost the deck, correct? Or can you still see it?
I think.
No slides.
No.
Yeah. Nijik, could you just reshare the deck?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
So,
Not sure when. Oh, Ken. Sorry. Thank you, Ken. Don't know what happened there.
so let me, maybe you can go to the next slide. Yeah. Oh, no, sorry. So one before.
Sorry.
No. One before. Sorry. Okay. So that were activities. And last important part, what programs you can leverage to basically do things together. That's the bottom part. And what you can see at the picture is simplified view based on the different sales stage at customer project. So first, it's about awareness. Here, clearly we can drive events together or doing case studies that we pay agency for to create it and then jointly promoting it. Important one to drive demand generation together. So here I already mentioned cloud accelerator workshops. Let's talk about this in a minute. And typically these ones being followed by proof of concept, which can be co-funded by pre-sales funding, something that already Peter mentioned with the acronym ESIF. And once customer start using our solutions and usage of multiple workloads increases, eligible partners can actually claim incentive for that as well. So that's kind of like in a nutshell, very quickly within the time. And maybe let's go to the last slide to talk about these workshops, because I believe that's the most important one that I'd like to share with you and you take from this part. So Microsoft Cloud Accelerator workshops. What it is, basically predefined workshops, assessments with available IP and lots of materials that you can leverage to either drive intent at customer side to purchase or to use our products. And as you can see, there are like a different areas, different workshops, different types, either which are focused on security or identity or compliance, or team specifically calling meetings or teams as a platform. Typically, beside that, you can leverage all the materials that are there, eligible partners, and for eligible customers, you can get also funding. So typically for 3-day engagement, it's up to $3,500 US dollars. For example, if you take security workshop and you deliver security workshop and you extend it to also Azure Sentinel piece, it can be up to 5,000 US dollars. I believe the best is example. So I'll give you example of security threat check workshop, something which was in place already last year, and we did quite a lots of deliveries together with our partners and very successfully. So how it worked? Well, after initial engagement between partner and customer, and basically discussing how to run that workshop and all the preparation phase, typically partners switched on E5 threat protection trials to collect data from customer environment over some period of time, let's say 2 weeks, checking what is happening within customer environment using this technology, either what phishing attacks are happening or ransomware attacks and so on, what threats are there. And after these 2-3 weeks, partner presented a report back to the customer showing what is actually happening in their environment with suggestions how to address these discovered gaps. So real stuff. And based on that, clearly the next step was, okay, so what will be next possible step, roadmap, proof of concept, and so on, and ideally getting to the stage when it triggers successful deal or deployment. So these are these workshops, and yeah, I think that's it. I don't have much more time. It was very quickly. I went very quickly through it. But if you have any questions, just put it in the chat, and I'll respond or later on. And
yeah, thanks, Robert. And actually, I'll just quickly jump in there, guys. If those that aren't following the chat, I just popped a quick note in there. You do need to be a co-sell prioritized partner to activate or to utilize these workshops and funding. Well, actually, anybody can download the workshop content. So I'd encourage all partners to grab the content. It's really quite exceptional material.
Yeah.
And then, but for the funding, we need to get you to co-sell prioritize. So just reach out to your partner development manager if you have one. If you don't have one, or if you prefer, reach out to me, and we'll help you with that.
Thank you, Paul. I would maybe add one more thing. Besides, you can leverage all the content as you said. For the funding, you can be even co-sell ready, not necessarily co-sell prioritized. There are some scenarios where it's enough, or clearly if you are fast faculty partner, but there are just few. So just to be precise. So thank you so much. And there is one more question.
Thank you.
For customers over 1,000 users, not necessarily. Minimum, yeah, exactly. As Paul just wrote, minimum is 300.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Robert, and Paul as well. Ricky, over to you. It looks like you're ready.
Kia ora, everybody.
Thanks, Robert. So I'm just going to give you 10 minutes on Microsoft Surface. We've got a really exciting product range and a pretty exciting year ahead. So I will share with you our priorities for the year. But before I jump into that, I did want to quickly do a little recap on the product range itself, just so that you're all familiar and I guess can see how far we have come as a device business. So the Surface family has grown from when I started in the business about 4 or 5 years ago, and we basically offered a Surface Pro to this amazing range that you see in front of you now on the screen. From our thinnest and lightest, most affordable device on the far left, the Surface Go, right through to the Studio, which is our all-in-one desktop, 28-inch amazing screen that floats up and down, and then our kind of hero collaboration or meeting room device, the Surface Hub 2S, and everything in between. So a really fantastic range, and I genuinely think now that we do have a solution or a device that fits most user requirements. I'm going to put a slightly controversial slide up here that says our latest editions, but for those of you that are very close to the ground in terms of the Surface roadmap, you would have heard in the last week that we have launched in the US Surface Duo, which is our phone. Although we're not calling it a phone. So that's a 2-in-1 flip screen device with cell phone functionality. Really, really excited to get that into markets outside of the US, but unfortunately I can't confirm any dates at this stage. So, sorry that I can't share that with you now. But our most recent additions, the update to the Surface Go, this has been incredibly well received, particularly around the education space, and we're seeing some examples of huge deployments of Surface Go 2 to support both teachers and students as they go to remote learning environments. Surface Book 3, our most powerful device, and further upgrades and improvements to under the hood on this device. If you're looking for real performance, but still with that amazing ability to disconnect and run a tablet, Surface Book 3 is an amazing option. And just a little nod to our dock, which has been updated as well. Just some kind of functional improvements in terms of longer cords and things like that. But hopefully a better user experience as well. So that's the Surface range. Now I'm going to just quickly run you through with my time our 3 key priorities for the business, and I acknowledge the fact that in Surface we do run a limited channel. Every one of these calls, I always encourage you, if you think that you're interested in working with Surface, and in particular this year, Surface plus M365, please reach out to Ingram Micro. They're our sole distributor. They can talk to you about the requirements to become a Surface partner. Ping me on the chat or hit me up afterwards and I can provide an introduction. But we do run a limited channel so that we can stay close to our partners, but it's not locked, and we are all the time looking for opportunities to expand. So with that in mind, I'll run through our priorities quite quickly. On the left, surface reach, and this is something that has been going really well for us. We're starting to see kind of meaningful market share numbers in the Surface business, and we've had some really big high-profile wins of late, which we're really proud of. We want to continue that momentum. And look, the best way to do it for us is to integrate both our digital marketing, of which Microsoft has real strength, doing things. You'll see an acronym on my screen called the GEP, Global Engagement Program. So being able to tell that story, get people downloading white papers about the benefits of Surface and so on, but integrating that with actually getting people hands-on with devices. And so we've really doubled down on making devices available, doing product seeding. If you haven't had an experience of one of our new ways of working sessions, I encourage you to work with either myself or Robert to try and book that in, especially when we're back to being able to do physical in-person things. But it's an opportunity to come into our office and see a modern workplace environment from start to finish, essentially. So unboxing a Surface device, firing it up, deploying it using autopilot, and then running through to Teams and all the goodness of M365. So a really useful session to both realize the value of M365, but also to make sure that you can tell that story to your customers also. And like every other presenter before me, I'd like to highlight ESIF, End Customer Investment Funds. For those of you that are working on Surface opportunities, we can look to support that opportunity, through investment to that customer, through things like deployment, or in the case of Surface, if you're moving from a more traditional laptop and you're going to, something which might be a bit out of the user's comfort zone, like a Pro X, we can do things like end user adoption training. Our key sales plays that we're going to go to market with are listed there on the left. So Surface Hub is a hero product for us, but this year, we're really teaming up with some of our OEMs that make Microsoft Teams room systems, and we're trying to, deliver a connected office, which might include, Surface Hubs in certain meeting rooms and other OEM devices in other meeting rooms, depending on what the customer requirements are. The remote work experience, look, I don't need to talk to you too much about that, about how important that has become, but I would highlight the fact that Surface cameras, Surface mics, Surface stereo is a really, really premium experience. We've got a great security story on top of just M365, but Surface has got some additional layers built into the hardware itself. And where we see a lot of momentum is the Surface plus M365 story. So moving to modern management, delivering that deployment via the cloud, we're seeing really strong momentum in that space. So that's kind of my key pillar of how to reach more customers and showcase the amazing work that we represent in the Surface business. In the middle there, you see education, renewed focus for us as New Zealand teachers and schools have had to shift dramatically in the way that they do things, but how can we focus on getting teachers aware of the value of Windows, of the classroom outcomes and the training that they can deliver via Surface, and what a remote learning environment can look like with things like whiteboard, touch, pen, camera, all of that, being able to deliver the best remote learning experience. To do this, we want to work with showcase schools that are trying new things, that are adopting Surface plus M365 and hopefully Minecraft as well. And again, we put the offer forward that, schools that are willing to come on that journey with us, we'll support through adoption and end user training. And so I put the call out to you as partners, but also as people that have got reach into New Zealand schools. If you see there's an opportunity or a way that, teachers or your local school could be doing things differently, we're keen to support that. And lastly, I want to call out, Surface for teachers. Sometimes I think we forget a little bit that a Surface is an amazing device. We've got cool form factors, we've got color and personality and style to what we do. And teachers, I think everyone in New Zealand probably agrees that they don't get paid enough. And so if we can, provide devices that are a joy to work on and make their productivity go up, but also give them a sense of, yeah, cool, we're being invested in, then, you know, we want to do that as well. So we really want to land our devices and the teachers to improve their experience as well. The last thing that I'll talk to is device as a service. And this is to really support our SMB business. It's historically a very strong business for us with Surface, but also with M365 and the number of customers that we have, you know, buying their cloud licensing through a CSP model, you know, how can we attach Surface to that to give them that best experience, you know, perhaps reduce upfront CapEx costs. And, you know, from a partner perspective, you know, there might be a bunch of new partners that we can work with by providing a device as a service option to, you know, attach Surface to an M365 customer on a single bill. So similar kind of sales messaging, you know, security, productivity, remote work. But I would add that some of the offers that we've had only in the enterprise space are now extending down to SMB as well. And by that, I mean, if you've got a customer that's invested heavily in M365, there may be additional rebates on the table for their Surface purchase to recognize that investment. So that's a quick summary of the Surface business. I think I'm pretty close to 10 minutes. So thank you all for the time. I'll stay on the call and happy to answer any questions in the chat. But with that, Anusha, I will hand back to you. Thank you.
There is a couple of questions in the chat. Ricky, you can cover them in there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ricky and team. That was our 3 business groups. It was really, really good to kind of hear a little bit of an overview. Thank you so much for your pitches, and hopefully that's been really helpful for all of you. So next up, Ken, do you want to just take over?
Yep, already doing so.
Sweet.
Nice to see you all again. I think most of the people would know me by now. I handle the trading enablement activities in Microsoft New Zealand. So just kind of going into it, because I think I only have 5 minutes. We've got some Azure training coming up around migrate and modernizing your web apps and migrating server infrastructure. Since this deck will be shared after, I can also put the links after, just kind of going through this very quickly on the chat window. For BizApps training, we have a Dynamics 365 training day. Once again, you know, content as you can see here. You can also flip through the decks on your own if you guys want to just take a look and read over the descriptions. And lastly, we also have some M365 training. So all of this training will be happening online. And like I said, there are links here that you can click to sign up on this. And we highly encourage partners to sign up for these, you know, to extend your training with yourself and your staff. So the next thing I really want to talk about very quickly, and something that some of you may have seen from Inspire that just happened a month or 2 ago, is actually the advanced specializations for Azure that we're releasing. And I wanted to spend 2 minutes to talk a little bit about this so that you know, people knew a little bit about what this was all about. So advanced specializations essentially is a new form of specializations that within the partner ecosystem, we see it landing after being a gold competency partner. And it has its own set of requirements and its own set of different benefits that it provides to partners within the advanced specialization category. So as this is brand new, a lot of the content, if I have to be quite honest, is still being worked out, but this is just as much as we can share with you at the moment. But essentially, the main requirements that we see is ensuring that you have a certain amount of ACR from a certain number of customers you might currently have. Having certified individuals within your organization. I believe the general number is 5 in quite a few different workload areas within Azure. And lastly, third-party technical audit. So this is done by, well, as it says, a third party that we commission in order to run an audit to ensure that you are able to, you know, as a partner, deliver the services around some of these different advanced specializations at the bottom. So as you might notice, these advanced specializations are quite specific in quite interesting areas, so such as Kubernetes or SAP on Azure, which is precisely what it's targeted for, towards these more advanced workloads and these really specialized, and you could even say potentially niche areas as well. So just to talk a little bit about the benefits on what that looks like. So these are the 4 that you know, we're sharing at the moment. So I think the first 2 you may have seen that we are launching brand new, well, not only in New Zealand, but worldwide as well, is the Azure Migration Program, which I think Patty also spoke about a little bit. So the Azure Migration Program is a new program that we have launched, and we are using it to drive more of the customer sales that we're running with our sellers. And also we're prioritizing this with the advanced specialization partners that are in New Zealand. I'm not really sure, if I have to be quite honest, what this looks like in practice, but I do know that this will be the requirement necessary to be part of the Azure migration program. It also will allow you to deliver the Azure in a Day workshops, which is a new series of workshops coming out, and it will be a customer event. So that's part of under the marketing side of things, Azure solution assessments that you can work with your customers. And lastly, some financial incentives for advanced specializations partners as well. I think that's it. I'm happy to take questions in terms of the advanced specialization, but once again, it's really new. So I would say that a lot of the content might be subject to change or even release. But if you would like to do some reading on your own, I would recommend taking a look at this link over here, which is just https://Azure Advanced Specializations, and all of the public facing information, and even in deeper detail should be available there as well. Now, just around that, while we're talking a little bit about certifications, I thought it would be a great time to actually just kind of do a quick rehash on MS Learn. I might sound like a bit of a broken record at this point, but it's a great resource out there that's available for any partner to upskill at their own time in terms of Azure and also any other sort of Microsoft workload. Although what I want to show here is actually how great it is for specifically Azure certification. So let's say you're looking to upskill yourself within Azure, be it fundamentals or something a bit more advanced, let's say AZ 104. The amount of content that's available if you would just search specific exams onto this particular site is actually really extensive, and it is actually able to prepare you exactly with all the materials required to actually pass these exams, be it AZ 104, AZ 400, AZ 500, and yeah, that content's all available there for partners to consume at your own time whenever you guys are available for it. For content such as Dynamics and Modern Workplace, the learning paths available are not as tailored towards specific exams, but there is also really extensive material around just a lot of technical learning that you can do around the Microsoft stack, as you know. Now, lastly, just kind of going into this, and I know one of our partners, which is Ace Training here, and they are a learning partner we have in New Zealand, have really used this in order to build their own practice around learning, which is that, so what blended learning is, my understanding at least of it, is that partners will be taking the time to actually consume a lot of this material online to learn on their own time as they're comfortable, and spend 1 or 2 days with a really experienced trainer to actually ask any questions that they may have and prepare themselves for the exam itself. So that kind of really puts a sense of urgency and action to really achieve those certifications that you like. And because of this, they're offering a much cheaper price for some of the training content they deliver, as a lot of it will be self-learning combined with the learning material that they provide as well. So I would check them out if you're looking to get certified, but at the same time, you will like a little bit of hand-holding just to consolidate the knowledge at those final steps. And I think that's it from me. Pass it on to you, Paul.
Awesome, thanks. Thanks, Ken. Hey guys, I actually just wanted to do a quick shout out on Microsoft Learn as well. I know we do probably keep mentioning it every session, but the content there is really genuinely amazing. And actually, just to show the commitment to it, pretty much every field role at Microsoft last year and then again this year, we are all we're all gold and have mandatory training to do all of the fundamentals courses, or depending on your role, to do that training ourselves. So we're 100% committed to it, and I hope that you can get yourselves trained and also have all of your staff committed to doing that as well. With that, I'm just going to share my screen, Ken, so I'll just take over. Guys, I'm just going to do a bit of it. Actually, I just wanted to do a shout out as well. It's great to see so many people on this call. We have a whole lot of familiar faces, but also some new partners that have joined this time around. So thank you guys for coming along to the call, and also a quick shout out to Nicole Lynn. Hi, Lynn, who used to help orchestrate these webinars and now on board as a partner. So shout out to you, Nicole. All right. With that, guys, I'm just going to do a quick overview of some of the services that are available to you as partners. this stuff is really improved over the last couple of years. We have, as you know, pivoted a lot of our roles and focus here in New Zealand and also in our other country markets to focus on building practices. So let me just jump forward a slide here. So this is the kind of motions or pillars of the what we call one commercial partner model at Microsoft, and we have the concept of build, co-sell, and go to market. And a lot of the focus that we have locally with the resources that we have available is around building new practices and capabilities with a small number of partners. But backing us and supporting all of this is all of the services that we provide through our partner support programs, our go-to-market programs, and our co-sell programs. And I just wanted to touch on today 2 of those. One of these is called the Cloud Enablement Desk. I hope that some people on the call will be familiar with this already. But Cloud Enablement Desk essentially is kind of where you'd go now to ask questions that you might have used to have asked a partner account manager or something like that some years ago. And this team, you self-nominate for this, and this team will provide a dedicated person to you and have a number of dedicated calls that will take you through all the things that you see on the screen here. I've highlighted actually in kind of maroon red color, just some of the ones that I think are probably the most important that we get asked a lot of, right? I get a lot of these questions about how do I get a competency, how do I get trained, what exams do I need, all of those kinds of things. And the Cloud Enablement Desk is actually there to help you with that, to guide you through it, and to be that point of contact. So I would highly recommend that you all give that a go. The other thing that they do is they'll engage with you on go-to-market and also solution onboarding. So where you might want to list something in our cloud marketplace, or where you want to engage in certain opportunities, for instance. And the team that can support that, they engage them on your behalf, or do what we call a warm handoff to our partner technical consultants. And that's the next thing that I want to just cover quickly today. And we've got one of the teams, Sid, is on the call from our partner technical enablement team as well, and they are mostly based over in China. And Sid is here just to jump in if there's any specific questions today. But that team is really an absolutely fantastic resource. And before I even jump into that, I'm just going to move forward on one of the slides here. But before I even jump into it, I just want to call out that most of the partners on this call, in fact, most of our partners in New Zealand that have competencies and action packs don't utilize this service to its full extent. And so I would just highly encourage you guys, if you have technical queries, if you have pre-sales queries, if you've got you need to understand what a migration looks like to M365. You need to understand about how you migrate or set up VNets or failover or whatever in Azure. This is the team that can help support you with that. We just don't have the bandwidth locally here in New Zealand with the folk that we have to be able to answer all of those questions, and also, frankly, to be across all the technology. And that's where these guys come in to play. They have specialists that cross all of the domains, the primary domains, and particularly in our cloud space, of course. You can see here on the left-hand side under the green banner, specifically what they provide. It is, of course, a remote service, but of course, nowadays, with all of us working on Teams, it really doesn't make a huge amount of difference. So they have a number of different services. I'm not going to spend too much time going through all of this in any detail, but there are kind of starter services to get you going. There are pre-sales, there is deployment, and then there are some advanced consultations. And so just having a quick look at that stuff, if you're looking to how do you get going with a certain scenario and you want to understand, well, what is what are data lakes in Azure? What is the IoT service in Azure? What is the M365 E5 or E3 security offerings? And this team can help guide you through that stuff. Then we move on to, you've got an actual customer engagement. You've got a potential prospect, and maybe they've got some competitive products. They don't maybe understand where it fits with their current environment. And so these guys, the technical consulting team, can basically help you to initiate, guide you through that, and then also do technical proof of concepts, right? So they can take you through, spinning up trials, spinning up environments to support that pre-sales activity, which will lead to statements of work and help you accelerate your sale, essentially. And then it goes to the next step, which is a deployment consultation. So once you win the business, then these guys can help you with architecture, best practices, guidance on that. Of course, I'm sure you're all aware we have many websites, documentation portals, things like that. These guys know that stuff inside out, can give you the guidance on what's the best way to migrate from Exchange 2013 to Exchange Online. What's the best way to migrate Hyper-V VMs on premise into Azure, that kind of stuff, right? So really great source of technical consultation that you can leverage for your technical guys. That's what I would suggest, is kind of getting your technical guys across this and making sure they leverage it and use it. And then there's the advanced consultation. You need to build out some technical documentation for a customer. You need to do customized demos, custom data, custom workflows, things like that, Power Apps, any of the, especially the leading or newer services that we offer. They will offer advanced consultation on those areas. So, and you can see specific solution areas around security, of course, and then really more complex product type configuration as well. Of course, many people starting to pick up the new Microsoft 365 security services, some of the advanced Azure services, and frankly, there's not a lot of people in the market necessarily know all of that stuff and the ins and outs of it. So please do look at leveraging, guys, just very quickly. You do need to have a competency or an action pack to avail the services here. The pre-sales advisory hours is essentially unlimited. We do have limits on the technical consultations beyond that, but to be honest, the guys will handle your queries for the most part, even if beyond these technical advisory hours as well. And just how to access this. Some of you are probably used to sending people like me or other people in emails, and we'll sometimes used to refer you through email to the team. We do need a formal process now to track and log this, just so we know utilization and stuff like that. So through Partner Center, super easy to do. There's a short URL. Just go in and chuck your requirement in here. Do make sure that you hone in on the specific technology area, and this will ensure correct routing to the right folk as well. Just while we're on that, I'm just going to jump through over to here. We've got a couple of portals. I'll share the links shortly in the chat window. But you can see the primary areas, of course, have been Modern Workplace, Biz Apps, and Azure. I'll just give you an example. If we jump into Modern Workplace here, you'll see that it gives you examples of what the consultations look like, kind of going a bit deeper into what I've talked about right now, and then technology fit, product areas, things like that. And you can, from here, just jump in and submit a request directly in there, which will take you to Partner Center. Or you can jump into Partner Center and do that. And just while we're on open with the browser here, I'll just show you quickly. This is the Cloud Enablement Desk form, what you self-nominate. So just to clarify again, Cloud Enablement Desk is purely to help you with partner programs, competencies, marketplace and co-sell programs, and go-to-market and things like that. And so make sure you all go into it. I just recommend everyone should really do it. Leverage the program at the right timing for you to make sure you're making the most of the partner network benefits and competency programs. And then the next step is the technical pre-sales advisory, as I've shown you here. So make sure you utilize those. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing, and feel free to come off mute if you want to ask any questions. And I think we're at the end of our primary agenda, Anisha, so I'll hand back to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Paul. And thanks to all of our speakers. I think Sid's also on the call, so feel free to come off mute, ask anything you'd like. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Ken, if you want to bring up a slide, the final slide on the deck, I have all the comms channels listed out there for anyone who's joining us for the first time. You would already be on our Yammer channel, hopefully. But please feel free to subscribe to our newsletter as well. And there should be a link for our partner hub. So stay in touch. And if you have any feedback on the webinar or anything else, please do let me know. I'll put in my email address on the chat window now.
Just since I've still got the mic open, thanks so much for everyone still tuning out. It's great to see we're getting continually over 100 people joining these calls. So tell your friends and family. We love having you on board, and we love your feedback as well as always on things that you'd like to see on this session. Thank you as well to Anusha for orchestrating all of this and for all of your continuing support, partners. Thank you. Looks like most people are dropping off now, so
Oh, bye, Paul.
Maybe next month we'll be able to do it from the office in person. Even who knows?
That'll be freaky. You'll have
Surely.
to all sit in front of the view just so you can rub it in that you're back in the office and you've got a great view. Hey, Anusha.
Hello. How are you?
You're still recording. Behave.
I think it is.